am your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 34 of the 815 Exchange. And ladies and gentlemen, it is still very much so March, and we had some very, very interesting developments here in sports and entertainment for the past week. And it was a very interesting week. It was a very interesting week for me and just for, I think, everybody that has been in the sports and entertainment world, with the trade deadline in the NBA and, of course, UFC 260, everything happening with March Madness. And we'll talk about that here in today's episode. But before I start, of course, ladies and gentlemen, remember timestamps are in the description. So if you're looking for a particular subject, you're looking for a particular topic, feel free to go straight to the description. You will find timestamps there. Hop right to it. My social medias, as always, are in the description as well. If you're trying to follow me on Twitter, which I'm super active on, Snapchat, IG, whatever. Social media links in the description. And without further ado, let's get straight to it. Starting with, of course, I can't really start with anything else besides college basketball, let's be honest here. Sweet 16, of course, we have the Elite 8 today and tomorrow, and I'll talk about that after I get through these Sweet 16 games. But we just had the Sweet 16, and some Cinderella shoes got crushed, and some continued on. But Loyola Chicago versus Oregon State was the first game. Oregon State gets it done 65-58. I have to give a big shout out to Bishop Montgomery native or alum Ethan Thompson. He had 22. Cam Crowwick still had his 14 and 10, which was a solid game. But this Oregon State defense just was fantastic in this game. I forget how many points they held to in the first half. I think it was only like 20-something. It was crazy. Oregon State's defense has been great here in the tournament. Ethan Thompson has been able to carry the scoring load. And Oregon State's just been a really, really good team. For a team that was supposed to finish last in the Pac-12, they weren't even supposed to be in the tournament. If they hadn't won the Pac-12 tournament, they wouldn't have been in the tournament. But they've been showing out here so far. Get the win over Loyola Chicago. They take out Sister Jean. It's been fun. Crowwick, it's been fun. But can't strike all the time. Oregon State gets the win. Baylor took on Villanova 62-51, and man, I just have to think about, really, that was an awful second half, first off, from Villanova. That was some of the worst Villanova basketball I think we've seen all year from them. But, man, I have to wonder how much better this team would have been had Gillespie not gotten hurt, and if this would have been a closer game. Not that this was a blowout, but still, Gillespie would have made a world of difference. And there was really no true standout here for Baylor, but I would say Davion Mitchell, who's actually become Jared Butler. Of course, he's the guy that's in the wooden watch, or he's the guy that's getting National Player of the Year. He's considered probably the face of this Baylor team. But amongst NBA circles, if I'm being honest, Davion Mitchell is getting a lot more pub. And I think this game showed why, especially the way he closed. His defense was locked down. He was making plays on the offensive side of the ball. Great game from Davion Mitchell, in my opinion. Helped them get that win. Really helped lead them. Baylor looking good. Looking very good. We'll see if they can keep it going here in the Sweet 16. In the Elite 8. Arkansas ends the Oral Roberts. Yes, Arkansas has something against toothpaste, apparently, or dental hygiene, because took out Colgate. Now they take out Oral Roberts. But Cinderella falls. Max Amos, current leading scorer, was the leading scorer in the tournament, also the leading scorer this year in the actual regular season for the NCAA. Had 25. Obenar had 12 and 11. Both of them should be headed to the league. Should get drafted, in my opinion. Both of those guys proved it. Big shout out to Tate for Arkansas. He had 22, but a great game for Arkansas. Held on at the end. That Amos last shot is going to live in the minds of people for a while. It was almost like the Kawhi shot against the 76ers when the Raptors won the championship. It just kind of hung on the front rim there for a second and then bounced off. But yeah, unlucky, but a great tournament from Oral Roberts. A great showing for Avis. Really helped put himself and Obenar, helped those two guys really help put themselves on the map. And yeah, Arkansas gets the win. Houston gets Syracuse 62 to 46. Q-Dot Grimes had 14, even though it wasn't as great as shooting night, still had 4 threes. Big reason why Houston was able to advance there. Also, Houston really did a good job blocking up here. Syracuse held to 46 points. You know, Buddy Behan kept in check. Great job from Houston. They advance. Gonzaga takes out Creighton 83 to 65. And this was not the best Gonzaga performance, if I'm being honest. And they still were able to beat Creighton 83 to 65. Drew Timmy with 22, Nemhard with 17 and 8. I mean, what can we say? What can we say about this Gonzaga team? I mean, that hasn't really been said already. They're looking like a well-oiled machine. If even on a day where Koya Kisper doesn't have a great night or Suggs doesn't have a great night, they're so loaded that they're able to just kind of make up the difference and beat a team here in the Sweet 16 in Creighton by, what was that, 18 points, which is their 26th straight game, winning by double digits here. Don't know if that will continue next on Tuesday, but for sure, definitely a very, 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 very good game if you're a Gonzaga fan to show Che. Don't always have to have the A performance, and you're still able to get a big win. Michigan takes out Florida State 76 to 58. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit uneasy about this game, especially for my Michigan fans. You know, I've been expecting for them to at some point falter, especially since Isaiah Livers has been officially ruled out for the tournament, out for the season. But I mean, they got it. I mean, just in dominant fashion as well. Got it done. Franz Wagner with 13, 10, and 5. A much better game from Franz. Really been missing him being aggressive and really kind of taking charge. I think they've been missing that element. But yeah, I thought FSU size. But I mean, I think this just proves how not great the ACC, to put it lightly, the ACC was this year. But Michigan, just huge win. Able to continue to string it together. One of 2 number 1 seeds left. Well, hold on. Three. The only number 1 seed to lose so far is Illinois, right? So, the third number 1 seed to advance here into the Elite Eight. But yeah, big win for Michigan. Good game from Franz. Florida State bows out. The ACC wasn't that great. Both ACC teams lose this week. UCLA and Bama. On the flip side of the ACC, the Pac-12, I mean, I don't know what Bill Walton mystically put into the air, but the Pac-12 has been phenomenal this tournament. Absolutely phenomenal. UCLA takes out Bama in overtime, 88 to 78. Herb Jones, Alabama. I'm not going to just put this on her, even though it is on her because he missed the 2 free throws that could have probably won the game. But Alabama, you gotta make your free throws, and this game was an example. And then they got smoked in overtime. Jules Bernard, had 17. Jaquez also had 17. For Alabama, JQ, he had 20. Saw a game from Javon Quinterly. But UCLA, great game. Even with Johnny Juzang fouling out in regulation, still smoked Alabama. Alabama didn't deserve this game. You cannot shoot that bad from the free throw line and expect to win these games, especially this late in March. Things you cannot do. And that's something they definitely need to work on. At least those guys coming back next year. Definitely got to work on that because you do not want, this is nightmare. This is nightmare. As a head coach for Nate Oates, this is a nightmare. The shot that should be easy, money in the bank. You saw what UCLA did. They made their free throws, and that's part of the reason why they won by so much in overtime. But it's got to be so frustrating to watch your team just miss free throws, and that really ended up costing you the game. USC gets Oregon out 82 to 68. White and Edey with 22 and 20. Normally we talk about the Mobleys when you're talking about USC. You're talking about Isaiah and Evan. But here we were talking about White and Edey. The guard play got it done for USC today. Omarayu for Oregon had 28-10, but it wasn't enough. USC is just, they're probably the second hottest team, arguably the hottest team probably in the tournament right now. They're peaking at the right time, and sometimes that's all you really need to do to make a run here in March is peak at the right time, and USC is peaking at the right time. Andy Enfield doing a fantastic job with that team, and yeah, fight on. Now, for the Elite Eight, of course, we have 2 of those games tonight, and probably around the time this is released. And of course, we have the 2 tomorrow night, and we'll have our Final 4 after Tuesday. But of course, tonight we have Houston and Oregon State, and Arkansas and Baylor. Both, I mean, every matchup I think here, once you're in the Elite Eight, is a very interesting, a very intriguing matchup. Probably must watch. I do think that they'll be slightly closer now. We kind of had a break. We had a really very, very kind of close-knit first early rounds, the first 2 rounds. Then here in like the Sweet 16, it was kind of eased off. We saw a lot of teams win by a good distance. It wasn't too much, breathtaking besides that UCLA-Bama game. And then we saw in overtime UCLA smoke Bama. One too many close games. Also Arkansas and Oral Roberts, like I said before. I think we'll see some of that March excitement. I just have a feeling here in the Elite Eight. Houston and Oregon State going to be very intriguing. Ethan Thompson versus Quentin Grimes. Arkansas and Baylor. Can Baylor prove their dominance and advance here into the Final 4? On Tuesday, we got USC and Gonzaga, which I think is the true test for Gonzaga. I think we're going to find out how good this Gonzaga team is against USC and against a team, and really what I guess you would call Gonzaga's true weakness is they don't have a true big man. They have Drew Timme, but he's not a big man in the sense of Evan Mobley. And I think this actually bids well for USC, besides, I guess, a nightmare matchup against Michigan and Hunter Dickinson, because Hunter Dickinson owns Evan Mobley. All of the dominant bigs here, besides Dickinson, like I said, are really kind of out now. So I think that opens up some stuff for USC. This is an interesting stylistic matchup, and I think this is going to be a very interesting game to watch. And we're going to find out how good Gonzaga is for real. UCLA and Michigan, another intriguing matchup. UCLA have been playing really, really well. Will the loss of Isaiah Livers finally catch up to Michigan, or can they keep it rolling? Juwan Howard has to be Coach of the Year. Has to be National Coach of the Year. We'll see if he can keep it going. Mick Cronin's also been doing a great coaching job at UCLA. Should be a very interesting Elite Eight, but yeah, that's March Madness and that's college basketball. Now to move on to the combat sports world, which this week, no boxing, ladies and gentlemen. It is simply just pure UFC. UFC 260 was this past week, and without Volk, I said my hype for the event had gone down. Because, there was no Volk, there was no Ortega. That matchup I was very excited about. Volk got COVID, so had to, bow out. But, my goodness, did this card deliver? It delivered. It delivered. What a card it was. It ended up being such an exciting card to watch. Starting off, I go straight to the main card. Malarkey started us off with the under-minute KO. That Maverick versus Jillian Robertson matchup was pretty good as well. But to start us off here, the Sugar Show is back, ladies and gentlemen. The Sugar Show is back. Sean O'Malley. Time to hop back on the hype train. I guess we'll see. We need to get my man a new pair of legs, though. I'm a little... it might have been just like a little bit psychological, but a little worried about his legs. But O'Malley's talent level is just ridiculous. It's kind of like Izzy. It's kind of like Starbender. It's kind of like watching Izzy strike in a sense of it's got that power, but it's also got that precision. He's a sniper, and he's so creative with his strikes. It's so much fun to watch. O'Malley is so much fun to watch. He gets the KO against Almeida. Looked like he had it in the first round. Let him get up. And of course, we had that whole situation. And then the commentary. I don't rag on the commentary as much as other people, but it was kind of getting annoying with them continuing to bring that up, of course, and acting like O'Malley had to have. He needed to get the flash KO for whatever reason. And didn't happen. Didn't happen. In round 3, Almeida fought a pretty good second round. But in round 3, O'Malley hit him with a shot, went down. Then one of the coldest. If you haven't already, please go find it on social media or on YouTube or wherever you can find it. One of the coldest finishes I have ever seen in MMA, in combat sports. O'Malley just calmly, he gave the ref an opportunity to call it off a second time after he knocked him down. Then O'Malley calmly walks over there, cocks it back, and then, it was, I don't know. He tried to put bro's skull through the mat, and it looked like he did for a second. Brutal, and there's your highlight knockout from Sean O'Malley. Dude is a problem. He's a problem. Just gotta make sure that durability does not become a reoccurring problem like it has been. And of course, work on that ground game because you're not gonna be able to strike with everybody. But Sean O'Malley is a problem. He is for real. Believe the hype. But we'll see. But this was a very, very good start to get back on track. We'll see what the next fight for him is. Moving on to the co-main event, we have Vincent Luque take on Tyron Woodley, and T Wood went out on his shield. You know what? T Wood went out on his shield. I gotta respect it. I have to respect it. He went out on the shield, went out in a blaze. It wasn't too glorious, but he went out in a blaze. He did not go out without a fight. It was a very, very exciting, maybe 2 minutes. Luque got rocked, then Woodley got rocked, and then T Wood gets subbed while he's half conscious. Again, Tyron Woodley, his legacy is cemented already. One of the greatest welterweights, of course, in UFC history, future Hall of Famer. I think he should call it quits after this. He's had a good run. He's had a good run. Was once, like I said, one of the best welterweights in the history of UFC, in the history of mixed martial arts. Legacy cemented, just walk out. This, it's not what you used to be, but this isn't a horrible way. Even though you got subbed, even though you got finished, this was not a bad fight to go out on, in my opinion. So I think T Wood should call it quits out of respect. Luque continues to rise. It's two guys whose careers are going in different trajectories. We'll see if Luque can keep that rise and keep rising up that ranking for welterweight. But T Wood, all due respect, bro. Appreciate what you did. Thanks for all the memories. But it's time to call it a quit. It's time to wrap it up. Now for the main event. The main event of UFC 260, of course, was the highly anticipated fight between Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic to find out who is truly the baddest man on the planet. Because with all due respect, as we found out in this fight, with all due respect, of course, I know boxing is normally used that distinction of baddest man on the planet is the heavyweight champion in boxing. But with all due respect to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet. He is a weapon. He's a weapon. Highly anticipated rematch, and the real question was, had Ngannou leveled up to where he could beat Stipe or catch Stipe? And the answer was yes. Stipe Miocic, the greatest heavyweight possibly ever. But Ngannou just completely dominated. I first off, shout out to Stipe's chin, because I don't know how he took some of those shots in round 1, because any mortal man should have been decapitated with some of the stuff Ngannou hit him with. But I knew it was truly over. When all of a sudden Ngannou started sprawling and he had learned how to wrestle. No. The Predator has learned how to wrestle, ladies and gentlemen. It's over. I don't see us getting a new heavyweight champion for a good little while. Ngannou's only 34, which is 24 in heavyweight terms. He just destroyed Stipe. And then, of course, now we have this iconic image of Stipe getting folded like a lawn chair. Look how they massacred my boy, man. I feel bad because, both of them great guys. If there's anybody for Stipe, I think, to hand the torch off to, I'm glad it was Ngannou, because they're two great people, two amazing fighters, obviously. And I feel, hey, Stipe had a great career. I do feel bad that he lost, of course. Um, but he's 38. He's got a lot of other things going on too. So I would be perfectly fine if this is where Stipe calls it quits, because I don't see him winning the trilogy. If I'm being completely honest, I don't see it happening. But big shout to Stipe. But Ngannou, man, 3 African champs as well now in the UFC. 3, we got Kamaru Usman with welterweight. We got Izzy Adesanya in the middleweight division. Of course, now we have Francis Ngannou, the heavyweight champ. But he's the baddest man on the planet. He's a living weapon. He's probably the most dangerous man on the planet. Dude's a monster. He's a monster. John Jones. Let's talk about it, because of course that's the big thing now. Is the John Jones fight, and I think that should be the next fight. With all due respect to Derek Lewis, don't really care. We saw how it went the first time. Again, don't really care. John Jones. Let's get straight to it. Let's cut to the chase. Of course, everybody was talking about John running or whatever, blah 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 blah. John got his feelings about it. I think people were joking. Obviously, I don't know why you couldn't take that as a joke. Obviously, John Jones' ego is not going to let him decline this fight against Francis Ngannou, because John's ego is massive. He's too prideful to say, or even if he was scared, which I don't think he is, Bones' ego is way too massive for him to ever admit that. But he does deserve to get paid. Because this is going to be a very, very, very big fight. It's going to make a lot of money as well. Ngannou versus Jones. Listen, John Jones his head is getting put into orbit when that fight happens. Please feed John Jones to Francis Ngannou. Please do it. Please do it for the culture. If you don't do it for anybody else, Uncle Dana, please do it for the culture. We need to see John Jones get lifted off his feet after Ngannou sends his skull into the solar system, into the Milky Way. Because that's what's going to happen in this fight. Okay? This isn't prime John Jones, as I've been saying to everybody that's talked about this fight with me. This ain't prime John Jones. This isn't prime Bones. Okay? Dominic Reyes beat him in his last fight. He was gifted a decision for whatever reason. You want to call it maybe because Jones is more marketable than Reyes. And as though you saw, Reyes is not even the best lightweight in the world without John Jones in that division. But John he's not. He's not. I mean, everything, the only advantage I see Bones having over Ngannou is fight IQ. And he's probably better, sub-expert obviously than Ngannou. But the way Ngannou is developing, I wouldn't be surprised if he continues to add more elements to his game as he goes on. He's stronger, he's faster, with all due respect to John Jones at this point in time, who was a fantastic athlete in his prime. But Ngannou's a freak of nature. A freak of nature. Bones does not have the reach advantage in this fight as well. I mean, he has a 1-inch reach advantage, which is not going to really do much, I think, here in this fight. He's not going to have the strength advantage. He's not going to weigh more than Ngannou, obviously. And Ngannou's proven that he can wrestle, so it's not like Bones is going to be able to just take him down. Please. I think this is the one where John finally loses, because I don't see him beating Ngannou, with all due respect. Of course, y'all can tell me if y'all think Bones is going to win, but I don't see it happen. But that fight definitely needs to be made. Now to head over to entertainment, TV, movies, and of course music. This week we had a pretty a nicely filled week of entertainment and stuff that went on, and stuff for me to entertain myself and watch. That really sounded like a sexual innuendo, but it really wasn't. I'm so sorry. I'm not actually gonna cut that because I don't know. Just short. Anyways, entertainment. This week. Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 2. Episode 1, I know a lot of people like, and I did like episode 1, but episode 2 really kind of reeled me in terms of storyline. We got to learn more about John Walker, and see how he's going, and see the scenario. We see his sidekick now, which is kind of a play on Steve and Bati's relationship, and of course Steve and Sam's relationship. Thought that was a nice feature. And kind of seeing them work in the field and that type of stuff. Bucky and Sam finally meet up again and got to work. We saw some of their abilities and see how they're doing now combat-wise. The combat scenes in the show have been fantastic so far. And now we got to see more Young Avengers tease. Of course, I like how they're incorporating all of the kind of like Captain America lore. I think that's right. Finally saw Isaiah Bradley in that scenario. That was dope to see. Hopefully we can see some more of him. And of course, Eli, who is a Young Avenger, which continues to add to the list, the ever-growing list of Young Avengers that have now popped up in Marvel stuff over the past year. So that's very, very good to see. I'm very entertained by that. Hopefully you do get some with the Young Avengers, which is whether it's a TV show, probably a movie. I think we'll get that coming up eventually, very soon. But Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 2, very, very good. Very, very good. It really got me in. I think this was the one that really, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it, watching this one. Seeing the storylines kind of starting to unravel and different scenarios, different things they're talking about, being black in America, different types of stuff like that. It's looking very good. Very excited for episode 3. Attack on Titan. Episode 16, season 4. The end of part 1 of season 4, the final season. Because of course, I mean, who really thought that they were just going to end off without finishing where the manga does? I mean, episode 16, Piek, I think we all knew Piek was not, I mean, well, honestly, she got me. She got me. I'm not going to lie. Also, spoiler alerts for all of this. I forgot to say at the beginning, but spoilers, obviously. Piek got me. I'm not going to lie, can't cap. She definitely got me. I, for a second, thought that she had finally, you know, defected. But when she went up on the stairs and I saw Porco, I knew something was up. I knew she wasn't going to defect for real. And of course, that's not what she did. And they almost got Eren. They almost got him. They almost got him. But if you come at the king, you best not miss. And it seems like they missed. And we're going to get Eren versus Rainier and I guess the rest of the warriors. Once again, Zeke had that weird thing with the Titan, came back and swallowed him. We did not see Levi at all, but again, let's be honest, Levi's not dead. We'll see what Jean, Connie, Yelena, Mikasa, Armin, we'll see what they're going to do down there. Of course, they are underneath what just happened. They heard the boom. It's time to get some action. Apparently, it's a very, very interesting, according to all my manga readers, that haven't spoiled anything, thankfully. They said it's going to be a very exciting part 2. And I'm very excited. But my thing is, my dilemma with Attack on Titan now is, do I just read the manga or do I wait these 6, 7, 8 months till this winter and I just watch it, you know, watch the anime? Or do I just watch the manga? That is my question. Hopefully some of y'all can answer it for me that have, you know, read the manga or whatever. Do I just read the manga or do I just wait? Just wait and watch it fresh? Or, because I mean, actually the last chapter of the manga is coming out very, very soon. It might be this week. And I feel like that's going to be a nightmare to avoid spoilers for it. So I'm trying to figure out, do I just read the manga or just wait and watch the TV show? But yeah, you give me your recommendations on that. But great part 1 finale for Attack on Titan. Really left us on a cliffhanger. Big excitement for one of the best shows on television. Invincible, highlighting a show that not many people I think know about, but I'm going to put y'all on. Invincible came out on Amazon Prime. It's an animated comic series. So good. It is so good. Came from a very, very well regarded comic book made by the same people that made Robert Kirkman, one of the co-writers and co-creators of The Walking Dead. Invincible, oh my goodness. Please go watch it. Please go watch it. If you got Amazon Prime, please go watch it on Amazon Prime Video. That show is great. Omni-Van is like, again, spoilers. He's like, it's like Homelander. It's kind of like The Boys in a sense. For that, but not completely. Mark Grayson is a very good protagonist, seeing his kind of relationship with the teen superheroes and all them, and just kind of growing up. And I'm very interested to see where this series goes. I've started the comic book as well because the first 3 episodes were just that good. That final scene in episode 1 is nuts. And if you're watching this, go watch Invincible. Just go watch Invincible. That final scene in episode 1 is absolutely crazy. It's nothing. I've never seen anything like it in a superhero film, movies, television. It was like the Tower of Babel times The Boys. Absolutely nuts. Please go watch Invincible. Very good show. I will be watching every Friday along with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. In movies, of course, Godzilla and Kong. Oh my goodness. I, again, do not care about the human characters. Do not really care too much for the plot. I just want to see Godzilla and Kong bang it out. I'm just trying to see them throw the hands. Listen, it comes out this Wednesday. I'm hyped. I will be watching it as soon as I can. Godzilla and Kong, I feel like I've been waiting forever. But it got moved up, thankfully, and now we get it. Of course, I'll talk about my review of it next week, but I am very, very excited for Godzilla Kong. In music, Rod Wave dropped, so heard that was very good. I haven't listened to it, but heard that was very good. Heard Rod always delivers. I did listen to, however, Young Dolph and Key Glock's Dumb and Dumber 2, and they've really kind of established themselves as one of the premier duos in rap, in my opinion. Glock and Dolph they just go well together. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It's so, it just fits. It just fits. It just fits. It just fits. And Dumb and Dumber 2, I'm gonna give it an 8.9. I'm gonna set my rating right there. Definitely one of the best, probably the best, one of the best rap albums I've heard all year because nobody's really dropped. But I think it'll stand over the course of the year. This was a great project. Even though it was 18 songs, it was a very enjoyable 18 songs. I think my favorite right now, off of the first listen, is Cheat Code. But of course, you know me, I have to listen to music multiple times, so it's probably going to change. But great project from Dolph and Glock. If you haven't listened to it already for whatever reason, go ahead and listen to Dumb and Dumber 2. Great stuff from them, great music from them. I'm sure there'll be a Dumb and Dumber 3 eventually, but very satisfied for what we got here in Dumb and Dumber 2. Now to head over to my last major subject, which is the NBA, of course. And that begins with, I would be amiss if I didn't talk about them first. The Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets. Oh, the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets. They better go 16-0 in the playoffs, or 15-1 in the playoffs, or maybe 14-2 in the playoffs. I might give them 14-2, but even that's kind of a stretch. And again, listen. The argument, of course, they picked up LaMarcus Aldridge, which is what I'm talking about, of course. The argument here is, oh, they're picking up guys, but they're not superstars like they once were. Blake's not a superstar anymore. LMA is not a star anymore, right? They're washed or whatever. What people don't seem to understand is the Nets they have James Harden playing at an MVP level all of a sudden. They have Kevin Durant, who's the second best player on the planet, and they have Kyrie Irving. They don't need 2 other, 3 other, 4 other superstars. You got 3 other superstars that have assembled, even before Blake and LaMarcus came, the best offense of all time, potentially. The problem, like I said back then, and I said they needed to make moves and said they would make moves, and they have, is defense and rebounding and just finding a bench in general. And they have done that. Nick Claxton has stepped up. Spencer Dinwiddie, of course, we got to wait for him to come back. But these Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge are huge pickups. Blake, all of a sudden, what did I say? What did I say was going to happen? Blake gets to Brooklyn, and all of a sudden he finds out, oh, I can jump again miraculously. Let me start catching lobs. Now Blake Griffin, who's not, by the way, though he's not a superstar, of course, Blake can very much still hoop. I don't know where this misconception that he was just garbage now came from. But Blake can very much so still hoop. LaMarcus Aldridge is old, but he can very much so still hoop. He is still wet, Irish Spring green from mid-range. Rebound a little bit. LMA can definitely fill a role spectacularly. The Nets should breeze. There is no excuse. There is no excuse for this Brooklyn Nets team to not win the championship this year. There is absolutely no excuse. No excuse. Even if one of the big three gets hurt, there is still no excuse. They should smoke everybody. Smoke everybody like it's a brisket on a summer in North Carolina. They should smoke everybody. It shouldn't be a contest. We should be able to engrave right now the NBA Finals, the Larry O'Brien Trophy for the Brooklyn Nets. It should be a no contest. The slander they will get, and I will absolutely be on Twitter that day if it happens, even though I very much so doubt it's going to happen. I would almost write Brooklyn winning the championship in pen right now. If they do manage to slip up and get eliminated in the playoffs, Twitter that night is going to be electric. It is going to be like when 3-1 happened and the Clippers messing up last year. It's going to be like that combined times 3. The Nets have no excuses. No excuses. Zion Williamson has been playing out of his mind lately. To continue on here with the NBA news, Zion has been playing. He's hit another level. He's playing at a superstar level earlier than expected. Dude, his last 10 games, to put this in perspective, he's averaging 29, 6, and 4 on 68% from the field. 68%, nearly 70% from the field. He is averaging 29 points. And the Pelicans have a favorable record. They're starting to get closer and closer to fighting for that, playoff position and get back to 500. Rick Carlisle called him, he's called him Shaq physicality, Shaq physical gifts or whatever, with a point guard skill set. I knew this, of course, because I've been watching him since Spartanburg, like many people, but maybe I watched him a little bit more because, of course, I'm a Duke fan, so I watched basically every game of him is at Duke. So I'm not too surprised at some of this. I didn't think it would come this early, but all the people that said his game is not going to translate, Gilbert Arenas, I like some of your takes, but that was ridiculous saying he wasn't skilled. There is not a better finisher around the rim in the league than Zion Williamson. Without a doubt. Not a better finisher. And it's not always the dunks. It's just him finishing in contact. His layup package, the way he can contort and balance his body because of his strength and balance. It is fantastic. It is so aesthetically pleasing to watch. And what's part of what makes him a great player. His defense, of course, while he's not an all-defensive player, has been better over these past month. It's gotten better. And of course, we know he can rebound a little bit, can play make a little bit. He's got the handle, of course, to get into the rim. And he's always going to be super efficient. Zion is a one-of-a-kind player, and he's playing one-of-a-kind right now. More kind of trade deadline news that also happened, to go back to that. Andre Drummond picked up by the Lakers. Drummond literally just needs to rebound and play defense, and that's it. Do not, just as long as they can contain him to not doing the most like he was doing at the end of that Detroit stint, which made him basically a net negative, they'll be fine. But Drummond literally just rebound, play defense, don't do a bunch of other stuff, do your role fantastically, and you'll probably get paid if you do it right this summer. But that's all they need Drummond to do. Lakers, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get out of the West because, honestly, the Nuggets picked up Aaron Gordon, and that team looked crazy yesterday. Michael Porter Jr. is playing like Michael Porter Jr. Jokic is going to win the MVP. Jamal Murray's been a 20-point scorer this year, picking up where he left off in the bubble. The Nuggets are my dark horse. I'll get to at the buzzer. I'll talk about my friend's dark horse and who they said, or at least who one of them said it was. But the Nuggets are my dark horse, even though they really might end up being a favorite if I'm being honest. But I know they're not number 1 or number 2 in the West right now. But they're my dark horse in the playoffs because they look ridiculous. And to end off here in the NBA news before I get to at the buzzer, Russell Westbrook is averaging a triple-double. Shout out to my boy Will. Russell's his guy. And haven't really talked about him much. Haven't really talked about the Wizards much because they're trash. But quietly, ladies and gentlemen, Russell Westbrook is averaging a triple-double again. I feel like there hasn't been too much attention on that. Maybe it's because we're just so used to at this point, which is crazy, which talks about the greatness of Russell Westbrook to the fact that he is averaging a triple-double in this season. There's like no attention about it. There's absolutely no coverage about it, where 5 years ago when he did this for the first time, it was the biggest thing in the world. Won MVP off of it. We just come to accept Russ's greatness in this aspect. So I want to give Russ his flowers for balling out. Even though the Wizards aren't a great team, have to give Russ some respect. Got to give him his flowers for still playing at a high level, averaging a triple-double this year. So yeah, definitely something to track the rest of the season. And that's the NBA. Which makes for a very easy transition into at the buzzer for this week. It makes its return real quick here. Still kind of constitutes with the NBA, but giving my friends' opinions here instead of mine. And you guys can say how you feel about it in the comments or whatever. But my guy Jamal said he had the Suns as his dark horse this year. Even though the Suns, of course, doing very well. I think they're 31-14 right now. He had the Suns as his dark horse in the West. And even though I said the Nuggets were my dark horse, and the Suns, of course, they're number 2 in the West, like I said, so maybe people are like, that's not a dark horse. But let's be honest, not many people are expecting, even if the Suns keep up this play in the regular season, you at home are probably not expecting, or maybe you're not, you can tell me in the comments, are not expecting too much from the Suns in the playoffs. But the way this team has played in the regular season, the way they've been able to churn out wins, Devin Booker has played at a very, very near elite level. Chris Paul has added the point guard play. He's the point guard for a reason. He's added the point guard play that really was the missing piece in Phoenix and has helped those young players. And like I've said and talked about over the past the season, really over the course of the season so far, about CP3 being a mercenary here and elevating teams. He's really elevated the Suns team into possibly a legitimate contender. Of course, DeAndre Ayton has to continue to play near star level, I think, to keep that momentum going in that aspect. And of course, you need the bench for the Suns to keep it rolling. But I think the Suns are very viable. I think they're a very viable dark horse here, especially if they can keep this play going in the regular season. They got some great players. They got some great talent on that team. They're doing a great job right now. I don't think Jamal's off the bar, too far off the mark here with calling them a dark horse. You can let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think about the Suns as a dark horse. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the roundup. And we're going to start off here with the U.S. men's national team. We had a very up and down day in the soccer world for the U.S. men's national team. On one hand, our A squad, our national team, the regular national team, not the under whatever, I'll get to them, played I can't say they played very well. No, I can say we played well. We played well. Beat Jamaica, beat Northern Ireland. Pulisic got on the board. Sergino Dest continues to rise. And I think eventually into one of the best fullbacks in the world. He's in great form recently. Scored that fantastic goal against Jamaica. Sebastian Lletget wasn't great, but had those 2 goals against Jamaica. Who else? Aronson looked very, very good. A lot of guys. Sargent looked good. It was a very promising Musai. Lived up to the hype. Gio finally got a goal. It's a bright future. It's a bright future for America. Even though we did not qualify to the Olympics, thanks to the fact that our U23 team folded twice and lost to Honduras yesterday, so we did not qualify for the Olympics. Just great. To be fair, our U23 team is basically our national team, if we're being honest. Literally, all our best players are U23. Pulisic U23, Weston's U23, Destin's U23, Gio's U23, Tyler Adams, Musai, so on and so forth. Basically, our whole national team would be our U23 team. So, I mean, we're a little bit at a disadvantage there, but still, you want to be able to qualify for these major tournaments. That's 2 in a row. Can do it again. Cannot do it again. With the generation we're having with soccer, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable, period. Can't happen again. Not looking forward to seeing that ever happen again. I think the talent we have rising up through the ranks of U.S. soccer should constitute us, even with having our A team, especially as these guys age up. Hopefully that next generation is ready, you know, so to speak. After this current, I guess, golden generation we're having now. Let's see. Oh, Formula One season kicked off in the Bahrain Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton wasn't the fastest car. That went to Max Verstappen, but Lewis, the intellect, and a great strategic plan, able to get him done. Max was a little upset about that, but Lewis, he's the GOAT for a reason. He gets it done. We'll see if he can, again, defend his championship. Defend his dome. Max, I think, Max continues to get better year to year, and it should be a fun title race. I think Max will make it interesting this year, but of course, Lewis, he's the best for a reason. And to end off here before I close up, the Buffalo Sabers. If I have any Buffalo Sabers fans, I'm so sorry. It must be absolutely miserable for the Sabers. I said this, you know, last week, and it broke the Rockets' losing streak. So maybe I'm talking about the Sabers this week. They've lost 17 games in a row. They've lost 17 in a row. Jack Eichel has to be on his way out. It's just straight pain right now for the Sabers. It's an awful time for y'all. But maybe me talking about it will break the streak, break the jinx. But yeah, Sabres lost 17 in a row. That is not good at all. We'll see if it kind of turns around in Buffalo, or if they can put up some all-time league bad record this year, which it seems like they're streaking towards. But yeah, that is it for episode 34. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Follow me on my social medias in the description, of course, at the end of this. Hope you guys have a great week. Hope March, as we conclude, we get a nice little finish to what has been a pretty solid month of March. And of course, Godzilla Con, very excited about that. And yeah, hope it's a great week. It was a great episode. I had a lot of fun doing this one. I think it was a pretty good one. Had some good stuff to talk about. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Ocho, signing off.